Hello again everybody. I've got a few more little tips based mainly on everyday objects in the workshop. Some of them are embarrassingly simple, but I'll put them out there anyway just in case somebody finds them useful. A couple are based on a repair which I've just done on an electric guitar, which I'll show you. It's on the bench now. The repair's actually finished, but I can illustrate some of the things I was using, which kind of fall into the theme for my contributions to the Luthier's lunch break. So let's get into it. So here's the guitar. As you can see, it's an Ibanez. I know nothing about electrics. It's an Ibanez electric guitar, and it came with a really nasty. It had been dropped, I think. There was a large chunk of the finish missing from this part of the back and just around near where the jack socket is. The wood was also dented underneath, so it's a pretty heavy drop. The finish they put on is really quite thick. It was probably a millimetre or so of something, I don't know what. So basically the job was to fill it, get it more or less level, and then I put a coat of just general purpose primer on. I had some microwave spray paint. I don't know why I've got this, but the colour match was actually very good. So that's what I used for the main colour coat. And then I put some gloss lacquer on the top. The thing I wanted to show was that as part of the touch-up process, I needed to put very small amounts of the paint on to fill little dings which weren't properly leveled, so it was kind of like a drop fill. And for that I just sprayed the paint onto a bit of newspaper and picked up a small amount with an artist's paintbrush, and that's one of the everyday things. I've got a set of these and they're all really cheap. They're just supermarket ones, but they're very good for putting small dabs of varnish or paint or lacquer or whatever it is. And then the second thing is, I often find that I'm working with very small quantities of something. In this case it would be thinner to clean the brush afterwards, and I save these bottle tops so I can just pour a very small amount of thinner in to clean the brush. And these are also very good for mixing small amounts of stain with drops of colour in, that kind of thing. You can also use them for epoxy because they're plastic lined and nothing sticks to them when it's dry. Of course you can mix epoxy on a piece of marking tape on the bench, and that's as good as anything for epoxy, but anything that's very, water thin, you need a container, and these are dead handy for that kind of thing. So that was those two things, artist paintbrushes and bottle tops, or I also keep these sort of fish paste containers, similar thing. They've got a kind of plastic coating on the inside so nothing sticks to it. And actually, while we're on the subject of artists' supplies, this is another thing I've found useful. I've shown my my old table knife in a previous video, which is one of my most used tools in the whole workshop. But for all that it's quite flexible steel, sometimes you need something a little bit more bendy still, and this artist's spatula is great, and I did use it in fact for doing the fill before the primer coat even. So basically I used a kind of paste wood filler, and this has got just the right amount of spring, and it's great for smoothing off because it's flat and shiny. So again, just a cheapo supermarket version, nothing fancy, but very useful for any kind of paste fill or that sort of thing. The next one's another sanding block tip. I didn't in this repair, but just pretend I had to touch up the paint here, and so sand in this tight curve here. You can use an old credit card, which if you heat them up will bend quite nicely to conform to an inside curve. So I'll show you that. You can see this is very flexible indeed, and you can get it to bend into pretty much whatever shape you want. Okay, so that's only partially done, but you can see it's fitting this part of the curve quite well, and I could continue and bend the rest, and then you just, of course, double stick tape a piece of sandpaper onto that, and you've got something which exactly fits the curve you want. Well, that was it for this time. I hope some of you got something out of it, and until next time, goodbye for now.